you for checking out the new Sportsline Podcast here on CHCH. I'm Bubba O'Neill. Well, you would have to be naive not to notice that Southern Ontario, and especially the Golden Horseshoe, is a hotbed for successful teams, athletes, executives, broadcasters, and in this case, world-class events. Well, you've landed on the podcast that will be shining the spotlight on a massive match that will be played in Hamilton this week. Well, when it comes to football in this country, well, Canada Soccer's Canadian Championship is a domestic cup competition that includes clubs from Major League Soccer, the Canadian Premier League, League One Ontario, and the Quebec Premier League. On Wednesday, Southern Ontario powerhouses Forge FC and Toronto FC meet in leg one of the semifinals of this national tournament. Now, to break down this rare meeting between CPL and MLS squads is someone who's actually been on both sides of this budding rivalry. Forge FC attacker Jordan Hamilton, certainly thanks for coming in, partner.
No problem.
It's great to have you here because I think because the fact that you played for both of these squads, I don't know, where does that hit you emotionally?
It's a tough one, you know. Obviously, TFC was the first club that gave me my chance, brought me up, identified me, and gave me the opportunity to achieve my dream. So it's a team that and a club that will always be special to me. I'll always be a fan. But Wednesday, I can't say that. So, you know, we're going out there to win the first leg of the tie and put ourselves in the best position to go down to BMO Field and go on to the final.
You know, before we hit up with all of what's going on this week, can I just get a little take, because then we were remiss not to ask you, because you've had the national team competition, you've worn the maple leaf. Let's start with what's going on at Copa America. Are you surprised? Are you shocked at what's going on with Canada at this point in their first competition in what is one of the oldest international tournaments of all time?
No, I'm not surprised at all, because I think what's showing now is something that we've known about soccer in this country our whole lives. You know, there's guys on the field that I've played with since my earliest days. You know, Dane St. Clair, we played on the same house league team together. You know, Richie Larea, Kyle Larin. Like, we've known the whole time the talent that we have, and anytime we would go as kids to other places in the world, we'd do well. So it's just a matter of now them getting the opportunity, and I couldn't be happier for them and showing what they're have been able to do. So it's been very, very good, and I'm not surprised at all.
When you were watching that Venezuela match in the penalty kicks, was your gut going crazy?
Yeah, of course. You know, it's like I said, they're my friends, guys. Some guys that I consider, you know, family. So watching them take the penalties, I was on my feet. I was in my apartment and, you know, screaming. I think my neighbors were wondering what the hell's going on if they're not watching the game. So, you know, I was wearing my Canada jacket. It's something that I take great pride in for our country to thrive at that level, and, you know, it was really exciting to see.
Okay, so Argentina, like, what kind of, like, I thought, okay, I'm being honest here, because I'll be honest, when this tournament was beginning, and I thought Canada versus Argentina first match, are you kidding me? I thought Canada should have been ahead after the first 45-2-1. They stood right with Messi and company, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. You know, obviously Argentina's the defending champions of that tournament and the defending World Cup champions, so it won't be an easy task, but I think we have the athleticism. I think we have the talent to, you know, really put our foot forward, and we also have nothing to lose, whereas they have everything to lose being the defending champions. So I think they just need to go out and do what they did in the first leg and a little bit more, and I think they have a solid chance.
You know, you also have experience playing in the Irish Premier League as well, too, so you understand the European feel of this as well, too. So on the other side of the planet is this massive Euro 2024 in Germany. Are you liking what you're seeing in that competition?
Yeah, it's obviously, it's always, since I'm a little kid, I've always, you know, watched all the big tournaments. It's interesting now as an adult to see the contrast from Copa America to Euros and the styles of play. And yeah, it's been a great tournament.
Can I ask you, right?
Yeah,
what is the differences there? I know what I see, but what do you see as someone that plays a sport?
I think in the Copa America you see kind of, you know, guys who, you know, played their whole lives wanting to, you know, make it out of circumstances, and I think in Europe you see more like refined players who played in academies and, were brought up through, polished players, whereas in America, it's like they're playing in Copa America, it's like they're playing for, their lives. Like they're leaving everything on the line because that's how they were brought up. It was, you're either making it professional or you're living in the favelas in Brazil or, in Uruguay or in all these, countries where it's not so easy to have a good life.
It's so fun to watch, and I'll ask you this because I know a lot of people, there's a lot of Brits in this area. I mean, and I've always said that England always find a way to let you down.
Yeah.
Is this, I mean, when I looked at them play Switzerland and the penalty kicks, and I thought to myself, okay, who's going to take penalty kicks for the Swiss? But I thought there was easily 10 players that could have taken something from the spot for England. Is it, like, they've got a real nice young team.
Yeah, they've got a great, I mean, England always has a good team. It just comes down to, whether they get over that hurdle of, winning a big game. I think they've kind of scraped by so far. Credit to them. They've kept themselves in every game. So the semi, whoever they get, will be a very interesting game, and we'll see. I think they have a chance to get to the final. I'm thinking England, Spain. I'm thinking, but yeah, we'll see.
Spain is beautiful to watch.
I know.
I mean, they've got that I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Yeah, I think he's 16 years old. They can't even drink in clubs.
Yeah, what a player. It's pretty crazy what he's doing at 16 years old.
Nuts. All right. Well, think about Scarborough kid, 16 years old, and you talked about TFC, Toronto FC, and your beginnings with the academy. What was that like, that experience for you?
Yeah, I was just, playing for Team Ontario. At the time, we had played TFC Academy a couple times. They identified me, brought me in, put me into the first team as a 15-year-old kid. Went to my first preseason with players like, Julian de Guzman, Torsten Frings. So, they really, pushed me forward, and I'm forever indebted to them for that because, who knows without them where I would be, what career I would have had. So they gave me my first opportunity. They took me in, and yeah, they gave me a lot. So
just to explain because academies are all over Europe, and every club, whether it's Manchester United, City, they all have this academy where, I guess, is it a development? What did you, when you came into the academy at TFC, what you started as and what you became, like, what was the differences there for you?
Yeah, so you go into the academy, you get into the program of, training every day, whereas, before as a local soccer player, maybe you train 4 times a week. With TFC, or 7 days a week, or any academy in the world, you're playing against the best competition. You're playing with the best competition in your own team locally to, really fight for your spot. And yeah, that's the difference, I'd say. In a club level team, you can be the star player, do nothing wrong. In TFC Academy or, Manchester United Academy or any pro academy, you could be starting 1 week, out the next 3 weeks. It's competition and professional environment. And I think, going from, obviously, I was playing for Ajax and Team Ontario, going into the facilities at TFC, they're world class. So it was a real, difference in my development, I'd say, for sure.
You get the big break, and the dream from the Scarborough kid continues, and you get to play with the big club, with Toronto FC. And you really had some solid years playing there. I think you even played in some Champions League stuff there for Toronto. Yeah. Boy, those must have been just, I mean, not that it isn't great now, but boy, you at the time, you must have been saying, I am living my dream right now.
Yeah, honestly, when you're in the moment, you don't realize it. It's kind of after you leave, you think back, and you're like, wow, like, what a accomplishment and what an experience it was. I still walk around the city today and fans still recognize me from TFC. So, to say that I came from Scarborough and I can walk around my own city and, have impacted kids' lives and motivated kids to, whether it's going and get a scholarship or going pro, it's something I take great pride in.
And the program was really rising at that point as well, to getting to championships. I mean, there were some real lean years there for TFC in its beginnings, but it really started to pick up speed in your days.
Yeah. I think that credit goes to the team we had, the front office staff that was there, the coaches. It was a really well-run team, and the success that we had speaks for itself.
All right, so then all of a sudden Hamilton comes knocking, and I know there were some stops in between Columbus and MLS. The Forge experience. I mean, a new league, CPL. We've been talking about this for years, about a Canadian domestic league, the importance to improve players, the importance of supplying the national team with players, and that it was so desperately needed. And we've tried so many different times, different leagues, and then something goes wrong after a couple of years, or they're bankrupt, or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
The CPL is for real, and it's lasting, and it's growing, and that's got to be really exciting for you, someone now about 28 years old right now, getting to see the development of teams all over the country now.
Yeah, I think you can look in even in just the youth national teams. In my day, like my first U17 Canadian national team was comprised of players playing for local Quebec teams, local Ontario teams, Team Quebec, Team Ontario. Now you look at the youth national teams, you have players in big clubs in Europe, you have players from the CPL and professional environments from a very young age. You have players in the MLS academies. I think we're really going to start to see, soccer take the next step in this country, and we can already see it from the success with our national team. And I think, it's only going to get better because we have such a vast country and so much talent here that has been here. It's just been untapped. So I think the CPL is an amazing thing for our country, and I think the Canadian Championship is amazing competition. You saw this year, a few semi-pro or amateur, if you want to call it, teams, do very well for themselves, and a couple players from those teams now got signed to the, CPL, and who knows, maybe those same players make the next step to another level up because they're young, talented players. So I think that it's really creating a pyramid in our own country, and I think it was much needed, and I think it's on the upward trajectory.
CPL, Forge FC, 5 years, 4 championships.
Yeah.
A little bit about the Forge FC team that you've experienced in your time there, and a little bit about Coach Bobby. What's he all about? He's like the mysterious mastermind behind it all.
Yeah, Coach Bobby's great. I think his success, speaks for itself. Like I said previously, he's a tactician, a master tactician. We go into every game with a game plan and it's not always that a coach can provide that for his team. And I think when you have a clear path, it's just a matter of the players and the talent in the room executing their jobs, and it makes things easy, So having a coach like Bobby is great, and it's been a great experience being on Forge. We go into, like I said, every game with a solid game plan. We dissect our opponents. We have our own game plan we stick to. So we're always on the front foot, and we always have a chance to be in any game, no matter who we're playing.
And I hear it from, talking to other broadcasters from around the league when you guys, especially go on the road to these different cities, where it be Calgary, which I know is a amazing rivalry, where the Vancouver Pacific, which you guys have coming up very soon, and that they say that you guys are the standard, and that's got to feel good, like that, that you're playing for a program that, again, we know about the championships as well too, but none of them were by fluke, really.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think it's, for one, the talent in the room. Bobby does an excellent job identifying talent, convincing talented players to come play for him. And two, I think it's our staff. They work so hard. They're in there first and they're last out, and that's very rare. A lot of coaches are just, I won't say a lot of coaches, but in the world of coaches, they can, kind of take a easy, laid back approach. Our staff, Bobby and Eddie, Coach Joe, Coach Nikos, Coach Kit, they work really, really hard. And I think that translates to our team and our performances and how we show up for big moments. So
it's neat what's going on this year. And one thing I've noticed in this, I guess now going into 6 years, is that Coach Bobby has put together game plans for different types of clubs, because there's been different types of clubs that have won these titles. And one were a little bit more defensive, one where the goalkeeper had to be outstanding, one where I think this year it seems like you're a little bit more willing to push the forward. Like look at those games against Ottawa and the game that you just this weekend against Vancouver. Like those were, I guess I'll put it this way: they were really fun to watch from a fan perspective, but from a player and coaching standpoint, it must have been just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, those games we weren't too happy with. Obviously, we conceded a lot of goals in those 2 games, so we weren't too happy with that. But the attacking performance was pretty good. We scored 3 goals in each game, so 6 goals in 2 games. I think that's pretty good. We scoring 6 goals in 2 games in any situation, we should come away with 6 points. So just about tidying up little minor details, and I think we'll be fine.
Was it fair to say, and I don't know, you can say this now, that you might have been looking a little forward to the TFC match, maybe?
I think that obviously the TFC match is in the back of every player's mind. It's probably the biggest game of the year so far. But I also think we have enough experience in the room to not let that be a distraction. So, yeah, it's just, I think we just made some minor mistakes, and that's what it was about, not really the TFC game.
Well, it's coming up this week on Wednesday, and it harkens back some memories of the fact that you guys have played. Your two squads have played against each other once, and one time only. And that was for the 2020 Canadian Championship. But then, as you know, the world was a mess at the time, and there's COVID. And of course, you have your own scheduling. Forge FC were in a situation where they have their own CPL schedule, but they were doing so well internationally as well, too. It became just a big headache to actually play this one championship game. But I guess it got played. It did get played. And I'll tell you this, again, from a fan standpoint, I don't know what the expectation is, and I think the expectation, is that MLS is here, CPL is here. I think maybe you guys were outstanding, especially in the first half. So many chances to score against Toronto FC. You could have run off with the thing.
Yeah, I wasn't on the team as of yet, but I did watch that game, and I was pretty, impressed with Forge. In that game, I thought, obviously they missed a penalty in the early stages of the game. They missed a few chances as well. And towards the end of the game, they missed some chances to win it. So I think they were very much in the game, and I think that the guys who were on the team, that are still on the team, can use that experience and, come out and just take care of those little moments. Because at the end of the day, games like this, these big games come down to moments, each team is very good. Each team's going to have their chances. It's just about who takes them.
I know everyone's very professional in a situation like this when it is a Forge or a Toronto FC and the different leagues. Was there any opportunity or any mindset that maybe Toronto FC might have taken the Forge FC, their baby brothers, maybe a little light?
I've been on both sides of that. I've been, on TFC when we would play, for example, Ottawa Fury in the Canadian Championship before they, when they were in the USL. It's not something that we ever took lightly, but it was always a very difficult game. And I think our team is much more well equipped to, challenge TFC and put our best foot forward, especially in our home stadium, playing on turf, playing in front of our fans with the atmosphere that it's going to be. So I think we got to take care of game 1 first, and then, we'll worry about game 2 after that.
In that match, as you said, it boiled down to penalties. For the layman, and again, we just watched it with Canada and Venezuela, and we've seen it with Argentina. We've seen it a lot recently, and it's been Euro as well, too. when you're standing there in front of the goaltender, and now that the goaltender can move all over the place now, as compared where they couldn't move back in the past, and now that the players have actually developed this sort of stutter step thing move, which is this new fandangled move that everyone's using. Can you describe to me what's going on in your mind when you go and hit from the spot, especially like we did see in that championship match?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just go do my thing. You know, it's something I've been doing my whole life. I don't think too deep into it. And even if I did, I wouldn't say here on a podcast. You know, there's possibility of a penalty shootout may happen in the near future. So, but no, I just go do my thing. It's, you know, I've been doing it. I started playing when I was 3 years old. It's just a shot. You miss, you score. But I've more times than not been on the scoring end of it. So I just do my thing. You know, it's what I've been doing. So yeah.
But there are players that may not be as confident as you that just don't want to deal with it. Is that not true?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for other players, but yeah, I mean, it's a shootout. I don't like it. I think there should be another scenario to, you know. Really? Okay. Yeah, because it could go either way. It's not really reflective of who the better team was or who deserves to go through. It's kind of by chance. I mean, I think they just do it to get the game over with. But yeah, it's a tough situation for sure. I've lost, you know, the Champions League final in shootouts. I've lost an MLS Cup in shootouts. So it's not something that's, you know, guaranteed win, but yeah.
Your home crowd is really something. I think it's fun to watch. It's fun to be there. Every person I know, I mean, I'm always there in a media perspective, but I know like my sister and her husband is gone and just loves it so much. They've actually seen you guys play on the road as well too. The excitement in this, you know, the Barton Street Battalion, all these guys, like the supporters, all these women as well too. I should say this as well too. The support you guys get has been, and it's growing, I think, and it's got to be a good feeling to know that you have people in the stands that care.
Yeah, you know, I think in respect to our league, this Canadian Premier League, I think we have the best fans in the league. I think it's a little bit unfortunate that we play in such a big stadium. Sure. I think if you put us in a stadium like Halifax Wonders, who always gets, you know, renowned for having the best atmosphere, I think our atmosphere would blow them out of the water. Our fans are great. Our Barton Street Battalion is great. You know, we hear them all game. They don't stop. Even our regular fans sitting in anytime we get on a fast break, everybody's on their feet. So yeah, our fans are great. I think it's just we play in a very big stadium, so sometimes with the whole side empty, it can feel a little bit empty, but we don't feel that as players. And I think on Wednesday, both sides will be full, so it's going to be, you know, a cracking atmosphere. We'll be up for it.
And you've been in those environments before, and that's what probably settles you down as a player. And I'll ask you this question here: I mean, I know you kind of referenced it that it can charge you up, and I know maybe I've talked to several Tiger Cats, and maybe it's a different sport, so the feeling might be a little bit different. But like, if say I'm going to say a through ball to you, right, and you're going in on the goaltender, and you're thinking about how you're going to score, are you hearing the fans?
No, not at all. But at the same time, you know, the big games are the games I live for. It's the games that I personally have always done well in. If there's a big crowd, you could bet your bottom dollar I'm gonna put a goal in the net.
It's gonna bury it, folks.
Yeah, but no, I don't hear the fans. I definitely feel them. You know, when they're behind you and pushing you forward. But when you're in the zone, you're in the zone.
Well, Jordan, it's been fabulous having you here. We're really looking forward to this match. I think it's going to be just a real cool test for Toronto FC. It's going to be a real cool test for Forge FC as well, too. And to be able to start in Hamilton, I think, can generate a real, a certain amount of excitement for this semifinal. This is amazing that you guys have gotten this far. And actually, it's been kind of on the regular, really, that Forge FC have reached this far. And I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. A lot of fun for soccer fans. A lot of fun for Forge FC fans. And I'm really hoping, and again, by us talking here, that we get a whole new group of fans that are saying, hey, something's going down at Tim Hortons Field, not just for Ticats, but for you guys too. So thank you so much for joining us and help us to pump up this big match. Hope you have a good one.
Yeah, we need all the support we can get, so I hope that everybody comes out, Hamilton local, because there will be TFC fans there. Granted, they're 40,000, 30,000 strong every game in Toronto, so we need all the Forge fans we can get, and let's make the stadium orange.
Wear orange, folks. Hey, that's your Sportsline Podcast for the day, and he's just seen and heard. We love talking sports with the best of the best. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event that deserves a little love, a little attention, the Sportsline Podcast do want to hear from you. Please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe button, and if you do have something to say, let us know. For the outstanding people behind the scenes that make the Sportsline Podcast possible, we thank you so very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.